Between Bells back on Cheddar News, everyone. I'm Baker Machado in New York, and as those strict 9-to-5s have become a thing of the past over the last year, communication platform Slack aiming to help those working from anywhere, this by introducing some new tools. So joining us now to discuss is the CEO of Slack, Stewart Butterfield. Stewart, great to have you back here on Cheddar News. So just a few hours ago, you guys at Slack introduced a set of digital-first features. Tell us what the new features are and why was the right time right now for these?
Well, I can start backwards. Thanks for having me. Right now is the right time because this is when we got them done. And there's a lot of experimentation that went into it. So we launched a new set of profile integrations with people's employee directories and HR software called Atlas, which helps you learn more about your colleagues. We launched a new set of video messaging capabilities, ideally to kind of obviate the need for some of the meetings that we have and make them more asynchronous. And then finally, we launched Huddles, which was the bigger and kind of more prominent feature, which is audio-only communication channels. And it's a little different than what people think of as a call, because it doesn't start and stop. You join and leave. And it's kind of a weird analogy, but it's almost like a taxi cab dispatch or a police radio, where if you're tuned in, you hear what people say. The advantage of that for small teams is that they don't have to schedule meetings, and conversations that only needed 2 minutes can last 2 minutes and you can have them now. It also recreates a little bit of the serendipity and kind of spontaneity of office-based conversations.
I think those are amazing updates, and you're basically going to get rid of 90% of our meetings here at Cheddar, so we love that, Stuart. Why, it's interesting, did the pandemic make you, force you guys to create a lot of these things? Did the pandemic change the mindset that you guys thought that something like this, a feature, needed to be added here?
It's a great question because yes, it did. And unless your job is professional philosopher, it's hard to walk around questioning everything. So we come into work with so many assumptions, and there's so many standards and habits. The quarterly business review and the staff meeting where you're reviewing dashboards and the one-on-ones and the daily stand-ups, all of that. I think if you had asked me in February 2020, like most other CEOs, I would have said it's impossible for us to all just begin working at home and maintain anything like the same level of productivity. And when you have to do it, sometimes what you thought was impossible turns out to be possible. And that leads us to question, what else is possible? What else should we be changing? And I really view this time as a lot of opportunity to be creative and to reinvent work. We've gone from a world, over the last 20 years or so, where digital technologies supplement the in-person techniques we have for communication and collaboration, to the other way around, where the in-person supplements the digital. And nothing against getting together in the same room with people. I like it. I'm enthusiastic about getting to do more of it, but we don't have to do it. It's not the only tool that we have. And similarly, Huddles and the video messaging, are intended to give us a bigger set of tools as alternatives to the everyone get in the conference room for half an hour, or everyone get in front of their computer and have this like a screen full of little rectangles of video feeds of people's faces. Those are both important and necessary, and we'll continue to do them, but we need more alternatives because we're massively overscheduled. People need more flexibility, and we also don't need to take all that time every single interaction we have with our colleagues.
I think that's so interesting, Stuart. So is this essentially your way, since your competitors, Zoom, Microsoft, all of them do the video conferencing for meetings, is this your way of sort of doing that same technology but differently, almost in a sense, because it's your take almost on what a meeting should be here?
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because we don't think of ourselves as competing with Zoom at all. In fact, we're at Slack, we're Zoom customers and we're frequent users of it. But obviously, you can't just have one tool. The number of software vendors for any given company has gone up year after year after year. We as a company buy software from 450 different vendors. The number of dollars organizations spend per employee per year on software goes up. The number of minutes that people spend using software every day goes up. And we're still kind of feeling our way around and filling out the niches and coming up with more and better tools that fit specific situations better. We could all lay out our business letters inside of Excel, but that would be a shame. And the kind of proliferation of software that we've seen over the last couple of decades is indicative of the needs. The other thing that's really interesting, though, is as the more kind of mundane mechanical parts of people's jobs are increasingly automated by computing technology, the work that remains is more demanding of their creativity and more demanding of their intelligence. And this kind of world that we can imagine is it's harder, it's more challenging, and like I said, more demanding, but it's also a lot more interesting for people. And so I'm very optimistic. Not just about the features that we launched today, but kind of what the whole industry is doing. And again, the opportunity that we have now to kind of recreate the way that we work to better suit people and to become more inclusive and to become more flexible, and still maintain those same levels of productivity.
Well, let's dive into that just a little bit more, Stewart, because now, most companies now are sort of reevaluating what the office is going to look like. Some offices are saying they're going to have a few people in, maybe a few days a week in September here or there. How does Slack sort of see like what the next wave of working is going to look like? How do you sort of prepare for almost the unknown when a lot of companies don't know what the work model is going to be like in September?
Yeah, it's a great question because you think about the purpose of having an office to just an organization. I'll think about our headquarters. We have, I think, 15 offices in 12 different cities around the world, but San Francisco is our headquarters. About half of our employees are there. We have a 10-story building that's all ours, and it's like a nice-looking glass tower. It's got our logo. So having the office is like a projection of power. It's the identity of the company. It's a kind of a cultural touchstone for the employees. It's a place to bring customers. It's a place to bring recruits, and it's a place for creativity and collaboration and people meeting. It's also, or at least it was, a place for this almost like factory farm battery chicken layout of people's sitting at desks by themselves using their computers and not talking to anyone. And that part you can really do anywhere. And I think that's what we've kind of proven over the last year. It's not that we don't want to get people together, but do we need people to have a 90-minute commute and live within a certain radius of our offices just so that they can sit down and use their laptop? I don't think so. And from an employer perspective, having the option to hire in a much greater range of places is incredibly attractive. You get a bigger pool of talent, you get more diversity. From an employee perspective, you imagine you have two job offers in front of you, and they're about equal in terms of pay. They're both kind of interesting jobs, and one says you must be in the office 5 days a week, and the other one says you can be in the office as much as you need to. Who would choose the first one? I mean, having the optionality is incredibly valuable to people.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on all the big announcements. Can't wait to see what the future of work looks like. Because again, we at Cheddar, we're Slack users, so we're just as intrigued at the stuff that you guys are working on as everybody else. Slack CEO Stewart Butterfield. Stewart, great to have you here on Cheddar News.